Hi, have you ever had a guitar that you let go of that you later regret? Stay tuned. Hi, my name is Rich Kettner. Welcome to Starry Night Guitars. I just got this guitar over the weekend. It is a Squire Custom Vibe 50s, also like a 50s Telecaster, right? But it's a Squire. And cool little guitar. I'll probably do a video about that later. But the reason I got this is I had a Nashville Tele for about 4 or 5 years that I really liked. It was a cool guitar, but I wasn't using it. So if any of you are familiar with my channel, I've done a video before that says, how many guitars do you really need? And I kind of have a thing about, if I have a guitar that I'm not playing, it's not getting used, maybe I don't need it, maybe I need to let it go. And that's kind of what happened with the Telecaster. My playing kind of tends to lead toward jazz, and I have a nice semi and have a pretty jazz guitar, an acoustic guitar, and I tend to play those more. And since the Tele was just sitting around, I decided to let it go. And I saw about 8 months ago on Facebook Marketplace, I live in Southern Arizona, I saw a guy down in Tucson had a Godin Fifth Avenue Kingpin. Like a jazz guitar about this fat, hollow body, one single P90, very cool instrument, and I went and traded for it. Well, I don't regret it at all. I love the Kingpin, I love the Godin, but after several months I realized, wow, I kind of missed that Telecaster. You know, I saw some of the videos that I made where it's just a cool voice that my other guitars don't have. So that's what led to this. But that made me think about other guitars that I let go over the years. And I thought maybe I'd do a short video and share my woes. Hopefully someone else can learn from my mistakes. So 3 guitars, really mostly 2 that really hurt. One is just kind of like, hey, that's a bummer. So the first one is when I was a kid. I grew up in sort of upstate New York, about an hour and a half out of New York City. And a kid that I knew in high school knew I was a guitar player, asked if I was interested in this guitar. Turns out he had an ES-175. Takes it out, opens the case. Now the case was totally beat up. The guitar itself is pretty beat up too. It was a blonde ES-175. The finish is all checkered. I think one of the pickups might have been cracked, but it was definitely 175. I bought it for like 15 bucks. Bring it home, my dad looked at it, messed with the wiring because it didn't work. And there was one loose wire he resoldered and it played. Well, I'm a kid, this is like 74, maybe 75. I'm just into rock music, Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, The Who, that kind of stuff. I can't play rock on this thing. So we come up with the idea to drive down to New York City. At that time in New York, one area in Manhattan, there was a block where there was, I don't know, 5 to 10 music stores, just all next door. You could go from store to store and kind of talk to them. And the guy that I played with, the bass player in my band, did drive. I was like a kid, 15 maybe. We drive down there with this guitar, and I went into one of the stores, opened up, would you be interested in this? And the guy said, yeah, I'll give you like 350 bucks for it. And I'm thinking, what a jump. I scored, ka-ching. And I'm sure this guy's thinking, what a jump, ka-ching, I scored, you know. But I was happy to drive home with my money, thinking I'd do great. Again, that was the early, mid-70s. By 1980, I'm going to college as a jazz major in guitar. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I would have died for that guitar. It even needed some work. You know, it had some good bones. It had to be a late 50s, early 60s, 175 at least. So if you're familiar with Pat Metheny Group, his first group album, the guitar he played for years, it looked like that. So that one hurts. Then I had a Strat around the same time. I was 16, 17, got it used from, I think my buddy's drum instructor somehow he had this guitar. Pretty blonde Strat. And I had that for a few years, and then when I got in the Marine Corps, I wanted to play trumpet in the Marine band. I was also playing guitar in their local jazz band. And my parents sent me the Strat. I was out in California. And it's like, oh, it's not a jazz guitar. And I went and traded it for something else that was also not a jazz guitar. But anyway. And I was never really super connected to the Strat, but it would have been a cool guitar. You know, probably be worth some money now. The one that really hurt, I got it in college. And in, I think it was 81, I started college in 80. I got hired to play in this local big band, and they were doing dance music, like music from the 1940s, up into music that were on the radio then, 81, 82, mostly dance music. And I needed a guitar that was versatile, that could play all those styles of music. And I was a big Larry Carlton fan. And I was kind of already off of the bug of having to have a Gibson guitar. I had an Ibanez guitar before that, a big hollow body jazz, George Benson guitar that I just didn't really connect with, so I got rid of that. But so the point was, I went to look at Ibanez, semi hollow bodies, and at that point they had these models. It was an AS50, an AS100, and the one I ended up getting was an AS200. It was this beautiful semi-hollow body, gorgeous wood, 2 humbuckers, thing called a tritone switch. It could make some very cool things, alterations, beautiful tuning pegs, just gorgeous guitar. And again, that was like 81, 82, 83. I see John Scofield come to New Orleans. He's playing the exact same guitar. So to put that in context, when I was a kid, late 60s, early 70s, Japanese guitars were crappy. The guitars would have 5 pickups and they were just junk. It was no good. And then suddenly, in the early 70s, the Japanese figured it out and started making incredible guitars. And in the beginning, they had to almost give them away because people think, oh no, it's Japanese, it's crap. But they were really great quality. There were even some that were called copyright guitars. They were such exact copies of Les Pauls or Strats. There were lawsuits involved. They were just too good. And so these Ibanez were like that. Very inexpensive. I think maybe I paid $400 for this guitar. Well, fast forward 8 or 9 years. We leave New Orleans, move to California, where I'm a teacher. And in the very next town from me, Wayne Charvel opens up a guitar shop. Wayne Charvel is a guy that used to own Charvel guitars. They were very big in the 80s, maybe into the 90s. Rock guys, Van Halen, a bunch of big hair band guys were playing Charvel guitars. And I think I was kind of starstruck by this guy. He's a super nice guy. I'd go in his shop and play some of his instruments. And at the time, he had lost the right to have his name on the headstock somehow, or some legality. There was a Charvel company, but he was no longer affiliated with that. And he started making guitars that he called Ritz, R-I-T-Z. And the ones I saw, he had one that he had made for a guy named Bob Carlile, who had been in the band, I think the Allies. Or do you know the song Butterfly Kisses? That he recorded that. This was again 80s or 90s. Anyway, the guitar was supposed to be for Bob Carlile, and he decided he didn't want it. It was like a telly body, but instead of wood, the whole thing was covered with abalone, this purple abalone. And all around the side, instead of plastic, there was brass binding. So it weighed a ton. But somehow, I talked myself into trading him my AS200 for this guitar. And he said, sure, we'll do that. And it was very short. I mean, not a month, 2 months later, I was like, realized I was trying to make this guitar sound like my AS200, which it never was going to sound like that. And so that one hurt for a long time because I really, really loved that guitar. So that hurt for a long time, for decades really, until I got this guitar. About 10 years ago, I discovered Eastman guitars. This is an Eastman T59V. And I have other videos that talk about Eastman guitars. These are super great. I kind of think same thing's happening with them that happened with Ibanez in the 70s. They're coming from China. They're handmade. And when they first came out, some people thought, oh, it's junk or it's from China. It's no good. But they make great guitars. This guitar is a killer. I mean, it cost, I think it was maybe $1,500, maybe $1,600. But it plays as well as 335s costing easily twice that much. And since I've gotten this guitar, it's eased the pain of losing that AS200. I still miss the guitar. I mean, it was amazing. But this is an incredible guitar as well. Super great. So in conclusion, if you were to learn anything from my stupid mistakes, I'd say hold on to your stuff. When I lived in California, I lived in one neighborhood. We were on a cul-de-sac. It was myself and 2 other neighbors that were both guitar players. And the one guy had tons of stuff, probably 15 guitars. I don't know how many amps, every pedal you could imagine. And his deal was his wife said, hold on to your stuff. He never sold stuff. or I would tend to sell things and always get beat. You know, every sale or trade, I always end up losing. And I've tried to learn from that, but I'm still haven't totally mastered that. I was a teacher, and you know, we were pretty much a single income family, so there wasn't tons of money to spend on instruments, and we had kids, so that had to come first rather than my guitar collection. And so anyway, but the lesson to learn would be a little bit wiser or hold on to your instruments, because it's a bummer to let go of one, and that's like, oh man, I always, sorry that one got away. Anyway, if you're still listening, thanks so much. I'd be interested in hearing about the guitar that you let get away if you have some stories. Maybe ease some of my pain. And I wish you all the best. Enjoy the journey. God bless. Take care.